As we're focused on growing and developing, and that we don't want to do that in isolation, a part of that growth and development can be getting feedback. We're going to make mistakes along the way and getting feedback to support us as we are moving forward from those mistakes. As we are focused on getting our needs met and expressing our needs, to be able to do that, we have to experiment with different ways of getting those needs met. In doing that, again, we're going to have to provide feedback, but then also receive feedback from others. A question that we don't often ask ourselves, though, is how do I best receive feedback? What is the way someone can share something with me that is going to benefit me and help me to grow, change, develop, do something differently? And we're not asking ourselves that question, we're missing out on the benefits of feedback, which could be somebody sees something in us before we're able to see it within ourselves, and they can give us that knowledge, they can give us that wisdom to be able to get advice, suggestions, make changes that, again, we don't have to struggle through. Someone can give us those things and help to guide us along the way. And feedback is not always going to be around something that we've done wrong or something that we need to change. Feedback can also be helpful in keeping us motivated by expressing to us the things that we are doing well and encouraging us or reinforcing us to continue to do those things. So that question that we don't often ask ourselves, how do we best receive feedback, to be able to ask ourselves that. How do you best receive feedback? Do you prefer feedback that is direct and straightforward? You were late for that meeting today. It was important that you were there on time. This cannot happen again. Or do you prefer feedback that's going to be more process oriented? I noticed you weren't on time for the meeting. What was going on for you? How can we support you being on time for these meetings? And this shows up in therapy too, that there's some clients who come in who they want a direct answer. They want to get a solution. The therapist saying to them, let's set the goal for you to walk 3 times a week. Versus someone else, they want to come with those ideas and solutions themselves. It's more the process that's going to be important for them. So the prompt might be, what can you do that's going to be helpful in getting you moving, but it's not going to take a lot of time? And then for the client to be able to come up with, I think walking 3 times a week is going to benefit me. So think about how you best hear feedback, how you want to receive feedback. Do you want it to be direct and straightforward, or do you want it to be more process oriented? And other things that might be important to you. The tone that something is being said. When you're getting this feedback and information, is that important to you? Considering all the things or all the variables that are going to help you receive the support and encouragement that you need. After you consider how you best receive feedback, want to make sure that any challenges to getting feedback can be eliminated. So we can want to also consider what has made it hard for us to receive feedback in the past. And in this situation, when somebody is giving me feedback, am I responding to this actual encounter that I'm having, or I'm being triggered for something that's happened in the past? And now that's impacting how I receive today's feedback. So if in the past there's some sort of trauma or hurt or wound that's attached to feedback, that could impact how you get feedback today or how you're able to listen to feedback. If you were in school, or if you were in a meeting in front of others and you were demeaned or made to feel bad about yourself, it could be hard for you to receive feedback when other people are present. Another issue we face is that we might not have a model for how to receive feedback because people aren't giving us feedback. So we haven't had a lot of chance to practice taking on feedback. An issue that people of color face in their jobs is that sometimes their bosses are hesitant to give them feedback because they don't want to be seen as racist or biased or be called out or challenged in those ways. But because then they're not giving these people of color feedback, they're missing opportunities for growth and development that their white counterparts are receiving. So it hurts them in not being able to get feedback. That it can be a challenge to be able to receive feedback if we're never getting the opportunity to take that feedback in. Another challenge to feedback that we could face is, what is the point and the purpose of the feedback? Is the feedback meant to help us, to grow us, or is the feedback feeling more like a criticism versus a critique of what's happening? So I know for myself, the entirety of my educational career was feedback that she's quiet, she doesn't speak up a lot. She's very quiet. And I was just in a meeting with my own children's teacher who was saying, they're so quiet. They don't speak up a lot. And what's the purpose of that feedback? Is there something wrong with them not speaking up more? What was the issue with me being quiet? When you asked me a question, I responded. If I had a question, I asked. If I knew the answer, I raised my hand and I provide that answer. And I see the same thing in my children, that their quietness, I'm confused because it sounds like they are listening, paying attention, and being well-mannered, but it feels like it's a critique of them. Feels like it's a criticism that they're being tired versus a critique or observation of their behaviors in being quiet. So we have to think about what the feedback is representing in meeting. But that's an important thing about feedback too. Simply receiving feedback or getting feedback doesn't mean that we have to take it on. That we get to pick and choose what feedback is most important for us, and if that feedback is actually going to be useful for us to implement. Another thing that may inform how you receive feedback is how you give feedback. So thinking about how you like to give others feedback. Do you give other people feedback that is direct and to the point, or do you give feedback that's more process oriented? That might actually inform how you best receive feedback. And that's another important thing to consider too. The people in your life, how do they want to get feedback from you? How are they going to be able to receive feedback from you? Because again, 2026, we're focusing on together, growing, being well, being joyful. We're not doing this in isolation. So being able to receive feedback that's going to be growth oriented, and also to be able to give feedback that's going to support and encourage others are going to be goals that we have for one another this year.